Hey everybody, we got week 6 here. This is interactive advanced concept presentation called the Noodle Rocket for Chem 125. And here is the presentation I put together for it. A couple of tenets of this Noodle Rocket demonstration. We've got yeast, which is fungus. It's a eukaryote, very active organism, as we know from how it functions in kombucha to bread products, and a lot of fermentation science is based on the activity of yeast. In this particular experiment or demonstration, we were anticipating that the yeast would cleave one oxygen molecule from hydrogen peroxide, which we know is H2O2, and we were expecting this to be an exothermic reaction. Our functional use of this demonstration was the oxygen gas that would be produced. We were expecting a single oxygen molecule to be produced from the combination. It would then merge with other oxygen molecules. We have oxygen gas, O2, and that would be released. So if we were to capture that in a container, like a glass jar, and let it escape via a small opening, hence the hole in the lid and the noodle, we were hoping to kind of capture that oxygen gas as it escaped through an ignited piece of noodle. We do know that oxygen itself is not flammable, but that it does cause other materials immersed in a high oxygen environment to burn much more rapidly if the ignition is already present. So here's the hypothesis, is that with a noodle ignition plus in the presence of oxygen, we would expect to see an amplified flame. Also of note, water, the H2O2, after the oxygen molecule is cleaved, we'd be left with an H2O molecule. All right, we'll get started. Okay, week 6. This is my presentation for Chem 125. This is the Noodle Rocket experiment with hydrogen peroxide and yeast. And get my demonstration set up. Okay. Glass jar. Lid for the glass jar with a hole in it. I have a packet of yeast. I have my hydrogen peroxide. And I have rigatoni pasta. Unable to find penne. But here's what we're going to do. We want yeast in our jar. All right. There's a little bit of a rain delay, and I had some technical difficulties, but we're Okay, sorry about that. Here we go. All right, had to take a short break for rain delay there. I wanted to clarify as well that I couldn't find ziti. That was the pasta I was looking for. I'm in Germany right now, and all I could find is rigatoni, which is a slightly larger diameter. Hopefully we'll still have enough of a capture or a conduit for the oxygen gas being generated that will still be able to create the rocket effect. Okay. In case you're wondering what hydrogen peroxide looks like in Germany, it's that. And we'll make this pretty quick so we can try and capture this effect. Okay. I see some bubbling going on. Noodle sit up. Let's see if we can get my noodle lit. Well, you can see the reaction is actually quite aggressive, and unfortunately it tipped my noodle over because this is perhaps a little bit too much. I do feel that it's an exothermic reaction. The foam is slightly warm. Well, I will have to acknowledge that this experiment for the rocket portion was unsuccessful. However, the reaction is apparent, and that is hydrogen peroxide and yeast. So I think in hindsight, the obvious outcome here was based in the fact that I had a little too much product in my small container. So perhaps smaller portions of yeast combined with the same amount of hydrogen peroxide would probably yield less foam and potentially more gas, or the ability to capture the gas through the actual rocket. And there you go. That's the final the final pile. It wasn't a hot jar, but as I held it, I could definitely feel that it was exothermic, and the foam itself was a bit warm. Okay, that is the not so successful Noodle Rocket presentation.